basically, what I am quite keen to understand from you is how did you feel having to make the shifts over and over again? And then how did it affect you in the personal sense, as in your self-confidence, your self-esteem? How did that affect you? And did it also affect your work?
Mm. Well, I'll start with the shift from Jamaica to the US. That was a massive shift, right? And I didn't know what what to expect, and I think there was a lot of nerves, there was a lot of nervousness, a lot of uncertainty, but for the most part, I was just open to whatever could happen. I knew why I was going. And so I had my focus set, and I was ready for whatever challenges might come up. And I don't know, I think it's just that frame of mind of I'm just going to take on the challenges as they come. That, I don't know, college for me it wasn't easy, but it wasn't as challenging as I think it could have been, being that, never been to the US before. This is kind of my first time living in the US, and, so but it was good. It was good. And I think it was a mentality thing, being prepared for that. As it relates to my shift in majors, I feel like that was a little bit more challenging. And this is something that we'll probably touch on a little bit later, but the reason, or part of the reason why psychology was so challenging for me, was the advisor that I had. I felt like we just weren't relating. And so what I have found throughout my career is that the people that are influencing me, the people who are in leadership over me, the people who I'm expected to learn from, are who are helping to shape my career, is very key and very important to me. And so not having an advisor that was very relatable or available to me to help to shape my path in psychology, because it was very difficult to figure out as an international student, how do I make this work? And he could not answer these questions for me. Then I found an advisor who had went through very pretty much the same thing in an accounting space, right? He was also an immigrant. He also came to the US to study. He knew the path through accounting and what that would take. And having someone who could lay it out for me, like, these are the steps that you need to take, that was critical and that was important to me. And so making that shift was challenging, but in a little ways more meaningful to me, because I felt like there was someone to help guide me along the way.
Wow. So
What were
could you?
some of the steps that he advised you on that you would like to share with others?
Yeah.
Well, for that specific thing, okay. So one of the things that he told me about was this relationship between the master's program that I wound up going to and the university at the time, that helped with scholarship and funding. Because again, as I mentioned, funding your education here in the US as an immigrant is a big deal, because we don't have access to the same kind of funding. So knowing that there was a possibility of a full scholarship, depending on how well I did in the major, to be able to get a master's, I mean, yes, please. Tell me more. So that was a key component. But also he talked about, and if you know anything about the accounting industry, there are about 4 large accounting firms that kind of, I don't know, they're kind of at the top of the accounting industry, and for the most part, they're very favorable to international students and to sponsoring visas. And so he helped me to understand that process and what that would look like, and also just understanding the connections that he had for internships, as well as the connections that he had for grad school, and then how those two married together could result in a more clear path for my career. And again, that was just something very critical to me. I needed to see where I was going, and he was able to lay that out for me to help me to see the steps to move forward.
Wow. So does that mean that having a mentor really helps?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when you are in an environment that you're unfamiliar with or uncomfortable with, having someone who knows the landscape and can help you to figure it out is absolutely critical. And I'll say throughout my career, moving from college all the way through my career and where it is now, I have always had a mentor. And for whatever shifts I made in my career, I made it a point to find someone that could feed into me, that could help me to grow and to blossom into who I thought or who I think I would like to become. And I think that is a critical component, is finding someone who you can have those honest conversations with about your career.
And
Even if,
regular,
and what did you say, Anita?
regular conversations.
Regular conversations, even if it's things that you don't necessarily want to hear.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think sometimes we turn on when somebody's saying something that we don't want to hear, and yet we need to listen to those voices also.
Yeah. And that's the kind of mentor you need. You need someone who can have those tough conversations with you, even if you don't want to hear it. Someone who's not going to shy away from that because they don't want to hurt your feelings, or they don't know if you can handle it. No, I want you to be as honest and as transparent with me as possible, even if I'm not ready to hear it, because it's what I need. And so those are the kind of mentors you need, people who are not afraid to speak into you for where you need to be.
Wow.
So you talked about some of your turning points as far as changing your subject, your major and such, and then getting into your master's. But what about this change from accountancy to entrepreneurship and project management?
That was another big shift. Yes, absolutely. So after graduating from North Carolina State University, where I did my master's, I started my career at Ernst & Young. And I mean, EY is an incredible place to work. I mean, when you talk about opportunity, there's so much opportunity within the firm itself, and so many avenues for growth, and a lot of great mentors. I absolutely met a lot of great mentors there. But public accounting is a lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle you have to be open to. And I thought for a long time that was something that I wanted to do. But what I realized is, I think for me, I needed a little less analytical at times, and a little bit more people and creativeness, which public accounting doesn't always lend itself to, or for the most part does not lend itself to, right? And so I was in this tax group for about, I think, 2, maybe 3 years. And then I shifted to a program management group within EY, because I wanted to first understand, is this project management something that I even want to do, right? And there are aspects of project management that I have done, I would say, throughout my entire time at EY. So project management itself is something that's kind of blended into a lot of the work that we do without us even realizing it, right? And some people are better at it than others, but it's this way of being organized and this way of ensuring that work gets done that is intuitive to most roles, I would say. Right, but I wanted to get more fine-tuned or more specific project management experience. And so within EY itself, I shifted into another group that would allow me to do that. It was still within tax strategy and finance, but it allowed me to get more true project management experience. And by doing that, I realized, I kind of enjoy this a little bit more, because it's not that I don't like doing the work. I absolutely love data analysis, but I don't love doing it all the time. But I like managing people and ensuring that they get their jobs done and that they do it the way that it needs to be done. But I don't necessarily want to be the one to do it. And so that's why I realized, I think this project management thing might be for me a little bit. But I was still within the public accounting sphere, which I wanted to get out of. And I was doing taxes, which I didn't particularly enjoy doing taxes or managing taxes. And I wanted to get some experience within other industries. And so I made that transition by first getting some certifications in project management. So I'm a project management professional, or a PMP certified, as well as a Scrum Master. And there are a couple